Jim Harbaugh interviewed with the Chargers, yesterday interviewed with the Atlanta Falcons while negotiating a new contract extension with Michigan. Dan Wetzel, Yahoo Sports columnist, New York Times best-selling author, had some nice juicy details about this with what Jim Harbaugh is trying to put in his contract, the language. Good morning, Dan. Enlighten our audience on what Harbaugh is trying to put in this new contract extension.
Well, I think, look, if he gets offered the right job in the NFL, he's going to go to the NFL. I think that's a fair expectation. So this is really a backup plan. I'm not really sure there's anything Michigan could do other than some absurd financial amount or something that could keep Jim Harbaugh if he finds the intriguing offer. But there's certainly the backup plan. So it's, 6 years, $11.5 million guaranteed base with some performance bonuses that would make him either certainly the highest paid in the Big Ten, perhaps in the whole country. Some of these new deals, we're not sure all the details. There are certain clauses that are unusual. He basically can't get immunity from punishment for either of the two current NCAA investigations that are going on. One into whether he misled investigators who were looking into a bunch of level 2 violations, and then of course the Connor Stallion situation with the advanced scouting and the sign stealing. There would be a set deal that in future violations there'd be kind of a matrix defined if anything else comes up, a series of fines, really laying out some different things that could happen in the future. He's trying to not execute this deal. Even if he were to agree to an extension right now, it wouldn't go into place until February 15th, which is pretty smart because right now his buyout, if a team wants to hire him away from Michigan, they owe Michigan $1.5 million. That dropped on January 11th. The new deal would maybe be about $4 million. But if it's not executed until February 15th, then that would pretty much be the entire NFL cycle, coaching carousel cycle. So, he would still be on the lower deal. Different ways that he could potentially be terminated. I mean, he's trying to get everything in there that he possibly can. It's a really unique situation because rarely do we have a coach win a national championship, also be under 2 NCAA violation cases, and have all this NFL interest at the same time. So as with everything with Jim Harbaugh, it is its own unique contract job search situation.
But I think Bill Self has similar language in his contract at Kansas.
He does, and that might be the path here. Bill Self wasn't about to leave for the NBA while he was working that out, though. But Bill Self is essentially unfireable, and it gets to where if you're going to fire Harbaugh for cause, it would go to like a 3. It wouldn't be the AD who could do it. It would be a 3-panel arbitration kind of stuff they do with presidents of universities. It's pretty creative to get as much protection for Jim as you possibly can going forward. And a quick aside, the NCAA has got a new system in place called strict liability for head coaches, so that if anybody on your staff, any assistant coach, any staffer violates an NCAA rule, the head coach is now responsible. And I think what Jim is trying to do here, and I think is going to become commonplace for all coaches, is that may be true for the NCAA, but I can't be fired for that. I can't. Normally, if there's an NCAA violation, the language would say that is cause for termination. I think what all these coaches are going to say is that's not fair. There's 100 people working in this football office. There's 25 working in this basketball. If somebody does something somewhere, I can't lose my $10 million a year job. So he's a little cutting edge on that one. That the coaches aren't too in favor of this new NCAA standard of punishment.
If Jim Harbaugh goes to the NFL, is he obligated to talk to the NCAA with the investigation into Michigan's sanctions?
He is not. So once you're not an NCAA coach, you are free to walk away, and they mercifully do not have the power to compel testimony. I don't think we need that out of NCAA investigators.
Is it Harbaugh wants to go to the NFL? I'm trying to figure out if I'm Michigan in this situation. Like, at what point do you say, we're going to move on here? Can they move on from Jim Harbaugh before Jim Harbaugh moves on from them?
He's 40-3 in the last 3 years. Just won the national title.
Yeah, but they won
They're
6 games without him on the sideline.
They did, but it was they won half a national title in 1997, and the one before that was 1948. So Jim Harbaugh has a tremendous amount of support, certainly amongst the fans and boosters, and the school. They want to keep him. But I agree with you. I think there's only so much you can do. Look, if you want to go to the Chargers, go to the Chargers. And look, there's 7 jobs open now. We could still get Dallas. We could still get Philly. Probably not Pittsburgh, we're hearing now, but you don't know. We're starting to get into real franchise. This isn't like, do you want to go to Carolina and lose and get fired in 2 years? These are real opportunities. He's already interviewed at 2 spots. So I kind of feel like if Jim Harbaugh can't get an NFL job this year, it's not going to happen. And if you're Michigan, you kind of like, look, we'll pay you. We'll give you some stuff. We'll protect you. We've been behind you all the way. But to just walk away from them, they're not ready to do that. That's just the situation. He's 15-0 does a lot for your juice on campus.
What if you could place Jim Harbaugh in the NFL, knowing his personality? Where would you place him?
I think I don't know that his personality. I don't think it necessarily matters where. I think he has to have an owner that understands that he's not going to operate maybe quite like somebody else. But guy's a remarkable football coach, so I would just want him at a ready-made winner. I think if you could plug him in and he can create the culture and the staff,
but
and
like
the whole
Dallas,
purpose.
but like Dallas with
I don't know
Jerry
if Dallas
Jones.
is a great idea. I think the Chargers would be great. There's not going to be a lot of media attention and all that. Put him in the middle of the circus, and he's going to become part of the circus if you keep him kind of just coaching football. I think one of Harbaugh's issues at Michigan and the reason there's violation cases stuff, he's not. From the outside looking in, and my guess in knowing people, he's not a manager of 100 people. He's a football coach, and he needs to coach football, not, well, what is this assistant doing? Am I on top of this staffer? What's this guy up to? That's not him. He needs to coach football and be focused on that. I think he'd be a great coach for the Chargers right now with a quarterback, but you got to put him in as a ready-made winner. And I think he's the kind of guy that maybe can take you the next step. He certainly was, 4 years in San Francisco, 3 conference championship games and 1 Super Bowl. He lost the Super Bowl on a goal line stand. He lost 1 conference championship game to the Giants in overtime. He lost another to Seattle on a remarkable pass breakup by Richard Sherman. Famous pass. I mean, he was as close as you're about to get for that 3-year stretch of winning a Super Bowl. Both those teams, I think, went on to win it. So he was a remarkable NFL coach. He's been a remarkable college coach, but he's going to move to his own beat, his own drummer, all of that stuff. You can't expect him to be anything other than Jim Harbaugh. You got to buy the whole package and hope it works out.
Great stuff, Dan. Good to check with you again. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Dan.
That's Dan Wetzel, Yahoo Sports columnist, New York Times best-selling author.